Welcome to another episode of the Commerce Lab by Ecomcy, the place where everything related to Amazon, FBA, private label, and e-commerce. My name is Vincenzo Toscano, founder and CEO of Ecomcy, and today we'll bring you a very interesting topic, which is basically how to leverage consumer research to optimize and scale your Amazon business. What a better person actually than Justin Chen, who is the co-founder of Pickfu, which is an online focus group which enables you to build different types of polls and basically analyze and do A/B testing to find the best basically possibility in terms of images, packaging, product research. I mean, we're gonna talk about so many case studies you can implement this on your e-commerce business that your mind is gonna explode. So it's a pleasure to have you here, Justin. Thank you for coming. How you doing, my friend?
Great. Yeah. Thanks for having me on the podcast.
It's a pleasure. I think it's super important to have you here today because we know that the Amazon and e-commerce space is becoming each day more competitive,
Yeah.
and the days of just copy pasting what everybody's doing and a product from Alibaba are coming to an end. I think long time now that
Yeah.
happened, and we definitely need to think outside the box, and that's where Pickfu I think is super useful for that. I mean, we have used that with some of our clients, and super powerful the things you can come up in terms of design, which are maybe your best main image, or how to
Hmm.
choose the best packaging. Even for pro research is super powerful.
Yeah.
And you would be surprised when you use a tool such as Pickfu, because sometimes we assume something is the best choice, but when you actually hear the voice from an audience, you realize you are completely aiming to the
Yeah.
different direction, right? So it's gonna be awesome to discuss that today. So before we jump actually into all the strategies and features of Pickfu, I would like to hear more about you, Justin. Just tell me a little bit about how you got started in the space and what actually gave you the idea of come up with Pickfu. Yeah.
Yeah. Sure. So my partner John and I both started Pickfu years ago, actually, as a side project. So we're serial entrepreneurs, and we were working
Okay.
on a completely different business. It was a different website, not e-commerce related. And we're both engineers, so we wanted feedback on a redesign that we were working on. We were doing a website redesign, and we were typically asking friends and family for feedback, but as any entrepreneur knows, that you know your friends and family start to get tired of giving you feedback, and then their feedback gets a little bit less useful. And so at a certain point, we're like, okay, we just need to build a solution that we can use to more reliably crowdsource insight. It's kind of like if you went to a coffee shop and said, hey, which one would you choose and why? That's what we were trying to replicate digitally. So
Okay.
we built Pickfu years ago as this side project, and we kind of left it there for a while. And we were continuing to work on the other business, and people started using it. And it was very interesting because we started getting people like self-publishing authors testing book titles
Mm,
and book covers,
okay.
game companies testing like app icons, just all kinds of random things. Of course, logos and brands, like some of
Yeah.
the obvious things. But then e-commerce kind of came around probably around 2019, and we were mentioned on the AMPM podcast with Manny Coates,
Yeah.
and we started seeing all these Amazon sellers come in testing our main images and all kinds of stuff. So we really started dialing into the e-commerce space, and
Mhm.
we've since focused all of our attention onto Pickfu, and now we're growing the team and trying to really scale the business. So that's kind of how we fell into e-commerce. A lot of people know us for split testing main images off Amazon, but
Yeah.
it could do a lot more than that.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we can talk more about that today.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I actually remember that episode with Mini Coats. I mean, I have followed that podcast from the very beginning, and I remember actually it was the first time I ever heard about Pickfu,
That's awesome.
and the growth you guys have been having has been amazing. I mean, you guys went from being super basic, just doing small posts, to now do all kind of tests. So congrats
Yeah,
on that. And I would like to start touching on maybe what is the value people can get out of Pickful, because honestly
yeah,
some Amazons they don't even know how they can leverage this tool. So maybe we can start about if you can share some examples of what you have seen lately people in the commerce space using Pickful for and
sure.
maybe some case studies if you can share. Yeah.
Yeah. So let me back up just in case anyone doesn't know what Pickfu is. So
Yeah,
you
exactly.
should
Yeah.
think of Pickfu as like a digital focus group where we tap into a panel of people which we pay them to give responses. And so
Okay.
all of our Pickfu polls are kind of very simple surveys, like micro surveys, where it's a single question. and you could either upload some creative options for them to give feedback on, or you could just have them answer an open-ended question.
Sure.
So, for example, the way that most people use us is what we said, split testing main images. So, for example, you
Mhm.
might ask a question like, which product would you buy if you're shopping for running shoes or something like that? And you might put up one version of your main image and then a second version. And what happens is we immediately go out to our panel of people and they vote on which one they like. They give a written explanation why, and then they also give demographic information. And all of that happens very fast. So it happens within, 15, 30 minutes, or maybe a little bit longer if you're targeting a specific audience.
Yeah.
Um, but not only do you get that quantitative answer of like which one won, but you get all this qualitative feedback around why. So maybe there's something you can improve about the image. Maybe they don't like the color, maybe they don't like the text, something like that. Now you can take that back to your designer, tweak it, and just keep improving it. And why Amazon sellers like to use us is because you're getting this qualitative feedback and you're understanding why something might not be performing, and you're able to improve it outside of like live testing, right? Whenever you're live testing, you're potentially losing sales, right? Because one of them is not
Yeah.
as good as the other one.
Yeah.
So
For
why don't
sure.
you do those improvements off the platform and actually get the feedback of what people are saying, like, oh, well, change it to left or change it to right or whatever it is, and keep tweaking it. And then when you finally are happy with that performance, then put it live on Amazon.
Yeah, I think that's super powerful, and I think the fact actually that I would like to bring to the table that Pickfu also allows you to do is that you can actually choose the type of audience you wanna aim for,
Yes.
right? You can choose the basically the avatar of what your product will be aimed for, and this is super important because compared to our services, we have seen that they just blast this to random people. Here, you can actually choose. I just want a woman. I just want this specific age and all of that.
Exactly.
So and this give you a more targeted understanding of what actually people that would buy your product would think when they see this product on Amazon, and if they actually would give the best experience to them, which is awesome. Now we talk around main image split testing, which is one of the main things
Sure.
we have seen people using Pickford for. But I mean, there are so many other things you can
Yep.
use Pickford for. For example, Pro Research. So I don't know if maybe you can quickly test on touch on that, because Pro Research we know is super important. And we know a lot of people that have used Pickford in the past for doing pro research, and they have amazing success because they can
Yep.
understand what things people want that the market is missing, and you can bring it. So maybe you can touch on that as well.
Yeah, for sure. It's funny because everyone knows us for this main image stuff, and usually they come when they have an issue with performance or
Yeah.
whatever it is, and then we help them out, and then they realize, oh, we actually should have done this earlier in the
From the
process.
very beginning. Yeah,
Because
because
a lot of
sometimes the
times,
issue is the product.
yeah, a lot of times they test the image, or what they'll do is they'll test their image against their competitors,
Yeah.
and a lot of the feedback may not be about the image composition or layout,
Mm-hmm.
but actually
I
like,
see.
well, I don't
Yeah.
like your logo, or your product isn't great, or the packaging's
Yeah.
not good, and those were all fundamental problems that you should have addressed earlier in the process, right?
I know.
So
I know.
yeah, so a lot of our savvier customers will be using it at the early stages. So not only testing things like brand names or logos, but as they're trying to research maybe they're trying to go into teapots, right? You can actually use Pickfu as a digital focus group and ask an open-ended question. Just say, if you were to buy a teapot, what are the more important attributes that you're looking for? And you don't have to put any options up, and people will just answer kind of like free form, just like if you went into a coffee shop and just started asking people like what's important to you, and you could target tea drinkers perhaps, right? So that's audience targeting that you were talking about. So that's one way you could start doing product research. Another way is to actually iterate on the designs that you're looking at, or maybe the product variations as you're looking for suppliers on Alibaba. Maybe you're grabbing different designs or color variations, and you want to see which one might perform better. So you could optimize your particular design by itself, and then you could also test it against your competition to see, okay, well, here are the top 3 teapots in the category. Am I going to make a dent with the one I'm planning to do? Maybe here's the main image I'm probably going to use, and maybe I'll slap on like a branding, like do a 3D render, right? And just kind of do a hypothetical scenario. Like, if I'm going to go out and at this price against these guys who are selling at this price with these ratings, am I going to do well? And that's what we're actually seeing a lot of our savvier customers doing, because they don't want to go into a product that they don't even have a chance, right? Now, you might have done all the keyword research and all that kind of stuff to know that this is a great space, But if you're not going to be able to compete, then don't sink the money in. And so it's been an invaluable tool for a lot of our customers to just get a gauge of, am I on the right track? And if not, maybe I keep making tweaks to my design, like make it more unique, right? Or make the branding even more compelling. So there's a lot of things you could tweak very early stage. Oh, you're muted.
So I think, yeah, first of all, that's amazing everything that you mentioned. The second thing I wanted to touch on is the 3D rendering method you mentioned.
Yep,
We also have heard people doing that, and basically, you can see as a soft launch of a product. You're actually not like
exactly.
on Amazon. You're actually using Pickfu as a playing ground to just put different 3D modeling of what the product will be, and
Yes.
then you put the pricing, how it will look, and everything, and then from there it will be much more less costly than launching the product and then realize it's actually not converting and not selling. So it's an
Yeah, I
amazing
mean, because
strategy.
there's also a lot of products that are like kind of pattern dependent, right? So
Mm-hmm.
we see people do testing like puzzles. Oh, okay, I'm going to
Mm,
print puzzles. Like, what
exactly.
photos do you want on it? Or maybe it's like blankets, and there's all these different patterns that you want to do. Well, how do you know which one you should do? And obviously, you can generate almost an infinite number of variations, and you're not going to print run all those and sell them on Amazon. That's crazy, right? So
Yeah,
get
yeah.
feedback, and then you'll at least have some data points around like what's appealing to people.
Yeah, amazing, amazing. And I think, I mean, we already touched on the images, and what it comes to be the pro research, but another thing, we have also personally used Pick for a lot for, and it's been amazing, is the copywriting as well,
Yes.
like testing what people like to see in terms of the tonality of the listing, how you talk about the features, even sometimes the order of bullet points, things like
Yes,
that.
that's great.
So, yeah, it's been amazing. I don't know if you maybe can also share a bit of how those polls usually work so people can have an understanding of
Yeah,
how you
so
could
I
test
guess
listings.
just to reiterate, like, yeah, it doesn't always have to be images. It could be text, it could
Mm-hmm.
be video even, or audio files. And so there's a lot of different things that you can test. So I would say for copy, the way that people typically do it is, if you've already got copy, you can do an open-ended thing and just ask for feedback on it.
Mm-hmm.
If you've got two variations of copy, maybe different tones or bullet styles or whatever it is, you can do just a head-to-head comparison. Or like you said, if you're not sure about the ordering of the bullets, or maybe you have a lot of features that you think are important. Maybe there's like 8 of them, but you only want to emphasize like 5 of them. You can
Yeah.
put them all as different options and have our people rank them. So whenever there's more than 2 options in a Pickfu poll, the respondents actually have to rank every single one. So if there's 8 options, they're going to rank 1 through 8, and that's going to give you a
Mm-hmm.
lot of data points around like, okay, well, here's the 8 things that I think are important. I'm not sure like what the ordering is. Throw it out to the crowd. Hey, tea drinkers, what's important to you when buying a teapot? And they're going to help you filter out like, okay, well, I don't need to put those bottom 3 ones, and I'm going to order the top 5 in the way that they did it, right? So a lot
Awesome.
of interesting ways that you can do it.
Great. Now, when it comes to running these tests based on your experience, is this something you recommend doing only once, or based on your experience, something you need to do at least 2 or 3 times to have as much valid data as possible? What is usually the case studies you have seen of people combining these tests?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a great question. I would say the biggest misconception or mistake that people have when they come to Pickfu is that they think it's a one and done. Like,
Mm-hmm.
oh, I need to test something. I'm just going to go run it. I'm done.
Once.
Cool.
Yeah.
And it's great. Like I got some data. I'm going to go away, and
Yeah.
that's fine. The way that most people do it, and to get the most value, is actually iterating um, during the process of whatever you're working on. So maybe you're iterating on your main image or your product design or your copy. So doing more frequent but smaller polls to get feedback along the process, right? Because a lot of times people are like, okay, well, here's my final product, and
That's it's too late.
then I'm going to test it at the end, and then it's like,
Yeah.
oh my god, there's like everyone's commenting on all these micro decisions that I made along the way, which you
Mm-hmm.
probably had all these assumptions. Maybe your team had assumptions, and you were just like, oh, we think it should be this way. We think it should be this way. Well, do those tests. And what we actually did recently is we rolled out 15 responses. So before, 50 responses was our smallest one, but
Okay.
we were seeing this iteration and people wanting to do smaller and faster polls because
I
they had
see.
like smaller decisions, and they didn't want to keep investing at
Yeah.
$50 every single
50.
time.
Yeah.
So now it's 15, and so now if you have like a small hunch and you just want
Small
a few
things. Yeah.
people, You just want a
Yeah.
few people to validate you're not crazy.
Yeah.
Now you can do a quick 15 response poll. It's going to finish even faster also. So now you can just really iterate on all those micro decisions. Like, should I put like that badge on the packaging here or here? Okay, well, let's just throw it out there and get some feedback on it.
Yeah, yeah. I think what you mentioned is true. I think the fact of thinking Pickfu, I mean, in our case studies, is a one-time thing. Is a huge mistake. Usually, what we
Yeah,
do, we try to use it along the whole roadmap of launching a brand. So it will be first
that's right.
product design, then product branding, product packaging, product images, and then copywriting, right? And then you
Yes.
make sure you test all the different areas, and to make sure the thing you're saying doesn't happen, that you already have everything invested, you have the product ready to be shipped from China. Even people say whatever they say, you cannot fix it. So what's the point?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's got to be so frustrating. Yeah.
Good. So now let's talk about also about the type of basically markets you can use speak for on. So right now, could you give us a little bit of background on in which audiences and also languages you're able to use speak for? Because I know sometimes people maybe they want to launch in, let's say, Amazon Europe or other
Sure.
countries that is not English. So is that something you guys offer at the moment? And if not, is that something coming to pick for? Yeah.
Yeah, so right now we're US audience is what's available right now. We are beta testing UK, Canada, Australia,
Awesome.
and Germany.
Very nice.
And
Okay.
so those are all coming out soon.
Good.
If you're a Pickfu user now and you want to test those out, just reach out to our team and we can enable it for your account
Wow.
to test it
Okay.
out. The German one is actually hitting German audience in German as well. So
Mm-hmm.
like they will respond in German and we'll translate it back into English.
Yeah.
And targeting wise, like you alluded to, like we in addition to the different languages, like we do have a lot of different audience targeting. So things like not only demographics but also behavioral. So are they tea drinkers? Do they like to? Are they active? Do
Yeah.
they exercise? Like do they take
Different
nutritional
niches.
supplements? Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly. So if there's something in there that we don't have yet, definitely let us know, because a lot of these niches are coming from customer requests. So maybe there's something puzzle lovers or something is probably we don't have that, but maybe if there's enough people who ask for it, like it makes sense to add it.
Good. Yeah, that's awesome. The reason why I ask you is because we have a lot of clients that they want to do this test in our markets, and sometimes I say, "Oh, I want Pickfood to release this."
Yeah,
So it's happy. I'm happy to hear that you're planning on that. So it's amazing. Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Good. Now let's also talk about what would you advise are some of the main things people should have in mind, or at least ready, whenever they want to start using Pickful. And basically, to simplify the question, would be what kind of information they need to have, because I have seen
Hmm.
people in the past that they use Pickful, but they have just like a super basic information. They say which color should I sell, right? And they give like 50 color options. It's super broad. So I think it would be important to people to also mention on this episode that also the outcome is going to be highly reliant on the information you put into Pickful, right? So maybe you can highlight on that as well, that you need to be very detailed on what you want to get out of those. Yeah.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, I think setting the context for the question is one of the first things you should keep in mind. So that's putting the respondent in the right mindset. So even
Mm-hmm.
though we have targeting, what you're looking for may differ. So for example, you could say like if you're searching for a teapot to buy on
Mm-hmm.
Amazon, like which image would you click on, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or if you're searching to buy a teapot, like which product design do you like, right? Just kind of like adjust what they're looking for a little bit if you're particularly like working on the design aspects. Along those lines though, like it's a best practice to try to keep your images in particular consistent, I guess, right? So like don't have, if you're trying to test out the product design, like don't have different backgrounds, right? Like you
Yeah,
try to, it's
I
a
know.
scientific method where you try to keep one thing or you only change one thing, you keep everything else consistent.
Yeah, otherwise you're testing so many things at the same
Yeah,
time.
I
Yeah.
mean, people get
Yeah.
confused and they're not sure what they should respond to. No matter how clear you might be in your question, like people, forget or they're going fast, right? So this is a particular problem, I think, when people are trying to like grab maybe images off like marketplaces or like
Mm.
competitors, and then they're comparing
And it's
theirs.
everything random. Everything is
Yeah,
random.
it
Yeah.
just looks like a bunch of random images. Like some have props, some don't have props.
Mm.
Like one's a 3D render, and it's like I don't, as a respondent,
Yeah.
like you don't know what you're looking at, right? Or at least if you were clear in your question and said like, okay, these are all these are
Random
all images
image.
I grabbed. I just want feedback on like the type of the product. Okay, well,
Okay.
you might get away with it, right? But
Yeah.
being more clear in your question is helpful there. So, to help this out a little bit, we recently launched these combos,
Mm-hmm.
which are kind of pre-built questions and
Okay.
even
Like
targeting.
templates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like a template, and they're also fixed price. That actually helps a lot of people, because what we were finding was there was a lot of indecision and confusion around like, oh,
Mm.
they're going through the poll builder. First of all, what question do I ask if I'm trying to test my main image? Okay, well, there's a combo for that. And then we
Yeah.
also
Yeah.
include a couple targeting for free included in those combos, and like their price won't change. So just trying to smooth out that process for people.
Awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
I think that's a great advice. Yeah, because I think I have seen those mistakes sometimes when people come to us and they've been using Pickfu, and we see the older campaigns. Sometimes they don't really know how to ask the question, and they were wasting that. So it's
Yeah.
a good advice that we mentioned this and highlight.
I mean, I think
Awesome.
that kind of brings me up to the other thing that we're pushing also is
Okay.
is kind of training up agencies like yourselves
Mm-hmm.
to
Yeah.
empower them to help our customers, because we find that in the Amazon space, a lot of sellers work with a lot of agencies because
Yeah.
they don't have enough time to do everything.
Yeah.
And it's the same with Pickfu, where we find that a lot of people want to use Pickfu, they don't have the time to do it or the time
They
to
don't have the
develop
time to
that
think
expertise.
about everything. Yeah, I know.
Exactly, exactly. And that's where agencies like Ecomcy can come in and actually help them run their
And do
polls for
everything.
them. And in addition to taking that data and then like helping them to create, like other assets or copywriting or whatever it is.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, we have found that is for sure. I mean, being getting the training done of tools such as Pickful has been adding so much value to our clients, because so many of them say we want to use it, but yeah, we don't have the time. So do it for
Exactly.
us.
Exactly.
Awesome. Now, I mean, I think we cover a lot of things around Pickful, but I'm pretty sure maybe I'm missing something around features or new things coming to Pickful. Is there something else you feel is important we should mention before we start concluding today's episode?
We have this new mock-up tool. I don't know if you've checked it out yet. It's at
Okay.
pickfu.com/tools/mockups, I think.
Okay.
And what it can do is actually you can pop in ASINs or a search term, and we'll actually pull in that data,
Okay.
and we'll render the like a search result.
Okay.
So it'll be the image,
Yeah.
the title, the price, the ratings, and all that kind of stuff. And what you can do with this is, I was talking about earlier doing hypothetical changes or launching your product
Mm.
hypothetically. So what you can do is you can take those top 3 teapots. You can then also make like a hypothetical new listing, and
Okay.
you could choose exactly what ratings you want, or you could say maybe we all have 1,000 ratings,
Yeah.
5 stars,
Or how it
whatever
will
it is.
look when you launch and all of that. Yeah.
Exactly. So you can do a lot of interesting experimentation here. So, I would one way would be to put the actual information and then put what you're planning to launch maybe at, one review, right? Because you're gonna
Yeah.
launch
One
low.
review. Yeah. Yeah.
And
Hmm.
what's the price that I can come in and make a dent, right? Because there's a price where maybe the reviews don't matter as much. So can I
Yeah.
come in at $5 less or $10 less or whatever it is?
Mm-hmm.
Or what if we normalize everything and just say like, well, first of all, I just want to make sure my product's competing. If we were all on the same playing field, is my image and my product good enough? Is my title good enough? And so it's a really interesting way to do these hypothetical tests. The reason we built it is we saw a lot of our advanced customers making these mockups themselves. So they were either using Photoshop or they're using Chrome
Mm-hmm.
Inspector and changing the HTML.
Yeah.
And we would tell other customers like, hey, you should do this. It's a really cool way to do it.
Yeah.
And most people were like, I don't know how to do this. This is very complicated. So we tried to build a tool that makes it easier for people to create
Wow.
these hypothetical things.
Yeah, that's a very good yeah, feature. I mean, we have done it in the past, but as I say, we've done it ourselves. As you said, like a
Yeah,
very quick
exactly.
mock-up and everything, like using some graphic designers. But now that you have it included, I mean, we're gonna check it out. Thank you for pointing it out. Good.
Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. Great. So I think yeah, that should be everything for today. I mean, for sure, before we conclude, I want to make sure you mention to our audience how people can jump into Pickfu right away, how they can start playing with it, and also your contact information if they have any more questions. Yeah.
Yeah, so definitely just go to pickfu.com and sign up. We have a Google sign in. So if you have a Google account, it's a one click sign into that. It's always free to create an account. You never have to pay a subscription or membership fee to
Awesome.
use the platform. And it's all pay as you go. So you could run a poll today and your next one could be in a few months, and that's totally fine. There's no ongoing monthly fee. It's all very straightforward. So it starts at $1 per response. So 15 responses, $15. That's a really easy way to get
Yeah.
started. If you ever have any doubts about what to do, you could hit our live chat. We have a customer success team that's able to speak with you, and we also have a success manager that speaks Chinese as well.
Wow.
And
Good.
so you're in China and you need help,
Yeah.
definitely hit us up for help. We can hop on strategy calls and give you any kind of advice there. Personally, you can connect with me on LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest way. So you could just search for Justin Chen on Pickfu, from Pickfu on LinkedIn.
Awesome. So thank you very much, Justin. It's been a pleasure. Looking forward to having the next one. Yeah. I appreciate your time.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.